Good morning, Red Barn. It's Mrs. Dwyer here with another story from our Frog and Toad treasury. And helping me today, as always, is my little lockdown partner, Chumley. Hey, Chum, how are you enjoying the social distancing? No, that's true. We never do much social distancing, do we? You're usually pretty close by. Do you want to do a story today? A frog and toad? Looks like you have the hiccups or something. All right, let's get started, buddy. This story is called The Lost Button. Toad and Frog went for a long walk. They walked across a large meadow. They walked in the woods. They walked along the river. At last, they went back home to Toad's house. "Oh, drat," said Toad. "Not only do my feet hurt, but I have lost one of the buttons on my jacket." "Don't worry," said Frog. "We will go back to all the places where we walked. We will soon find your button." They walked back to the large meadow. They began to look for the button in the tall grass. "Here's your button," cried Frog. "That's not my button," said Toad. "My button is black. My button was white." Toad put the black button in his pocket. A sparrow flew down. "Excuse me," said the sparrow. "Did you lose a button?" "I found one." "That is not my button," said Toad. "That button has 2 holes. My button had 4 holes." Toad put the button with 2 holes in his pocket. They went back to the woods and looked on the dark paths. "Here's your button," said Frog. "That is not my button," cried Toad. "That button is small. My button was big." Toad put the small button in his pocket. A raccoon came out from under a tree. "I heard that you're looking for a button," he said. "Here is one that I just found." "That is not my button," wailed Toad. "That button is square. My button was round." Toad put the square button in his pocket. Frog and Toad went back to the river. They looked for the button in the mud. "Here's your button," said Frog. "That is not my button," shouted Toad. "That button is thin. My button was thick." Toad put the thin button in his pocket. He was very angry. He jumped up and down and screamed, "The whole world is covered with buttons, and not one of them is mine!" Toad ran home and slammed the door. There on the floor, he saw his white, 4-holed, big, round, thick button. "Oh," said Toad. "It was here all the time. What a lot of trouble I have made for Frog." Toad took all the buttons out of his pocket. He took his sewing box down from the shelf. Toad sewed the buttons all over his jacket. And the next day, Toad gave his jacket to Frog. Frog thought it was beautiful. He put it on and jumped for joy. None of the buttons fell off. Toad had sewed them on very well. Do-do-do-do-do-do. This story is called A Swim. Toad and Frog went down to the river. "What a day for a swim," said Frog. "Yeah," said Toad. "I will go behind these rocks and put on my bathing suit." "Oh, I don't want to wear a bathing suit," said Frog. "Well, I do," said Toad. "After I put on my bathing suit, you must not look at me until I get into the water." "Why not?" asked Frog. "Because I look funny in my bathing suit, that's why," said Toad. So Frog closed his eyes when Toad came out from behind the rocks. Toad was wearing his bathing suit. "Don't peek," he said. Frog and Toad jumped into the water. They swam all afternoon. Frog swam fast and made big splashes. Toad swam slowly and made smaller splashes. A turtle came along the riverbank. "Frog, tell that turtle to go away," said Toad. "I do not want him to see me in my bathing suit when I come out of the river." Frog swam over to the turtle. "Hey, turtle, you're going to have to go away." "Why should I?" asked the turtle. "Because, well, Toad thinks that he looks funny in his bathing suit, and he does not want you to see him," said Frog. Some lizards were sitting nearby. "Does Toad really look funny in his bathing suit?" they asked. A snake crawled out of the grass. "If Toad looks funny in his bathing suit," said the snake, "then I, for one, want to see him." "We want to see him too," said two dragonflies. "Me too," said a little field mouse. "I have not seen anything funny in a long time." Frog swam back to Toad. "I'm really sorry, Toad," he said. "Everyone wants to see how you will look." "Well, then I'm going to stay right here until they go away," said Toad. The turtle and the lizards and the snake and the dragonflies and the field mouse all sat on the riverbank. They waited for Toad to come out of the water. "Please," said Frog, "please go away." But no one went away. Toad was getting colder and colder. He was beginning to shiver and sneeze. "I will have to come out of the water," said Toad. "I'm catching a cold." Toad climbed out of the river. The water dripped out of his bathing suit and down onto his feet. The turtle laughed, the lizard laughed, the snake laughed, the field mouse laughed, and Frog laughed. "What are you laughing at, Frog?" said Toad. "I'm laughing at you, Toad," said Frog, "because you do look funny in that bathing suit." "Well, of course I do," said Toad. Then he picked up his clothes and went home. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Have a great day, everybody. And remember, wash your hands, use your cough catcher, take care of each other, and remember we love you. We'll see you soon. Mrs. Dwyer and her buddy Chumley signing out. Toodaloo.